I mean, there are a few here that are more based upon like this one, and that one right there is more based on kind of a falling out of friends. But for the most part, it's about meeting. It's about meeting somebody new. It's about interacting with friends, with loved ones, with a lover, and some of them are kind of based on like personal interactions too, like going inside. I meditate, so it's kind of about going inside myself and finding something. So.
Talk a little bit about color choice and what the colors might represent.
Sure. The color choice, the base glaze that I've used on all of these, I find more of like as a spiritual color. It's kind of just kind of spiritual. It's kind of a hard thing to describe, but I just really enjoyed the way it sat on the surface of the clay. And as far as the colorants, I really liked this blue because it sat well in the glaze. And I started using it. Did I go out? I can yell. The color choices. So on the red, I think the red for me represents life, blood. Because as far as these two pieces, it's me feeling more spiritually alive than the person in the picture with me. Or, sorry, in the portrait, I guess you would call it, with me. They're spiritually dead, I guess you would say. So I just use a darker color. But as far as this one represents chakras. So it's different, the different chakras color the chakras. So.
You have a favorite piece?
The chakra piece is my favorite piece, just because it's a part of my life that's really, I've been going through a lot of spiritual journeying, I guess you would say, in college, and Eastern philosophy is a huge part of that. I just enjoy Indian philosophy, religion, just, I think it's interesting. And the chakras is one of those things that I kind of got tied into and stuck with, and so it's just, that's why it's my favorite.
Were you worried about any of the cracking that came with it?
I was not worried about any of the cracking because I think it actually turned out pretty good. I think it adds to the fractalness as well as to the body. Yes?
You're talking about like relationships between like yourself or like other people. So I'm curious about the way that you framed these. Are the tiles meant to represent like two people or different versions of it, or like maybe two sides of the same story, or like tell me about that. I want to know more about that. Like why you framed some together,
okay.
Others not.
There's not really a connection as far as like the people that are being represented in each tile. It's so much that I. Thank you. I guess I don't have to talk so anymore. It wasn't so much if they had a connection together outside of the art. It was more they went well together. They looked pretty together.
Is there one particular type of organism that you took these textures from, and you think it might lend itself to the idea you're trying to represent?
Well, okay. The forms that I took for these kind of shapes, I guess you call them forms, they're from a plant cell that I found online, and I just found them to be really beautiful. As far as them, what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry.
I was just curious if they came from anything that kind of symbolized this whole growth idea.
I didn't really think about it like that, but yeah, I guess you could say since it's a plant cell, it could represent that. So yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I saw someone over here.
I was just saying, kind of similar question.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask about what the specific things based on nature that inspired you to do these. Like you said, the plant cell. What were some of the other ones that gave you these designs?
Okay. Well, kind of. This is a good representation of another form. I like flowers. The center of them. You know how they have that real intense, just folding and patterning. That's a really bad word. Yes. Just kind of that overall intense designing. It's really off of that. And like peacock feathers is another one that I really like. I just think it's cool how they all just kind of radiate out. So.
Did just this one remind you of a heart or symbolize a heart?
I'm sorry?
Like the form of a heart?
With
A
this
human
one?
heart? No, over here on the far right.
Right here?
Over here. That one.
That one. Well, actually, on that one, I did kind of aim it to look like a heart because everybody was telling me they looked like hearts. So, and because my dad, of course, is a cardiologist, it was kind of one of those things that just kind of went.
Looks good.
So,
What's the nature ideas behind the awakening?
the awakening, the nature ideas.
Well, you said, yeah, what kind of nature is
Okay.
involved in that?
Really just the plant cells. It was.
Plant cells?
This top one was actually my very, very first tile that I did of this series. And it was just kind of at a point where I was doing this, and while I was doing it, you get this kind of clear-mindedness, and it's almost meditative, and it was an awakening, and it spawned this whole thing. So as far as nature, I'd say this was kind of my way of like connecting with nature, and because I've always wanted to in some way, whether it's through art or through actually just getting out there and being involved with nature, so it's just kind of my way of awakening to what I'm supposed to be doing.
Did you do the bottom piece in that one after you did the first one?
Yes, it was a little bit further on, but yes, I did do that.
But not right after.
Not right.
Jordan, so do you use a different tool, or how do you make the dots to look so much alike? Is it you're using the same tool, just different sizes?
Yes, I'm actually using a paint brushes of different sizes and just flipping them upside down and just kind of imprinting them into the clay. So yes, it was very meticulous.
What direction do you plan on going in next?
Well, I think I found the two forms that I like the most. I think I'm just going to go way bigger with them. And I think I'm going to start using porcelain so that the color pops up a little more, through the glaze at least. And I'm going to start working on different shapes, not just so square. So.
Have you thought about working, just three-dimensional objects, but essentially 2D?
Right.
It's just kind of unconventional ceramics, not really, but, have you thought about kind of working with space more, like three-dimensionally?
Yes, actually. Yes, I'm actually working right now on finding a way to incorporate that, because this design is a bit hard to do on 3D surfaces, at least keeping it working. Okay. Keeping it very proper and just the way I like it. So right now I'm working on making a bowl and putting that design in it. I'm wanting to just see where I go from there. So I don't have anything